Wow.
Starting the audio. 3, 2, 1. Welcome back, everyone, to another exciting episode of Aaron's Opinion, the podcast for blind people where we speak about critical issues in the blindness community and all other issues from across the universe and galaxy. Tonight, this morning, or this afternoon, whenever you're tuning in and listening, for one thing, welcome back. And now let's get into our conversation with Queen Liz. You know, I basically want you to tell the whole story of 95 Alive, I believe it's called. And yet before you do, I want you to take the listener back to that messenger conversation we had just a couple days ago. And you spoke for quite a while about your history, your desires, your motivations, your toils, your sadness, your happiness, your friends you lost, friends you gained. And I basically told you, Liz, that was an incredible monologue. So why don't you try to deliver that beautiful monologue again? And then we'll go from there. Who is Queen Liz? Go.
Well, first off, I'd like to say thank you for allowing me to be on here. Secondly, I am Liz. I am totally blind. I was born without eyes. So I like to say that my chromosome disappeared. We don't know where that chromosome went. I jokingly mess with the doctors every time I go see them. Like, hey, I want that back now. So I was born in Washington, D.C. I was born with a condition called bilateral anophthalmia, which basically means that my eyes did not form at birth. So I have prosthetic eyes. There is one thing that my mother has always taught me, and that was to be the best that you can be. Don't let your disabilities kind of control your life. I also have cerebral palsy. I have anxiety and PTSD. But like I said, I don't let that stop me. I always try to keep a good, positive attitude because, there's so much negativity in the world and there's not enough positivity. And sometimes you really need that positive attitude because it just works for me. I've always been energetic. So a little bit about my history. My mom was in the military. She was a colonel. So we bounced around a lot. So I never really had the chance to kind of fit in. So I felt like I didn't have a voice. I felt like we never stayed anywhere too long to we never stayed anywhere too long to for me to kind of gain that friendship, those lasting friendships, if I may say. So I felt like I didn't have a voice. I felt like, you know, it was a struggle for me. So radio, I entered internet radio. And one of my wonderful good friends, David, had told me, okay, he said,
left the meeting. Paul Lipton has joined the meeting. Paul Lipton has left the meeting.
he said, Liz, you should think about internet radio. I was like, no, internet radio is not the place for me. I don't, you know, I can't imagine doing internet radio right now. But my good friend Jamie was like, come on, we're going to go on a very good station, and very sad that it went down. 195 The Globe. He said, come on, we're going to do this. Now, when he said that, I said, oh no, radio's not for me, but I'll come on and I'll support you. And a wonderful person. So, Jay, but I'll come on and I'll support you. I'll do that. But I don't want to talk. So I was silent in the background. And the owner of 195 The Globe, David Dunphy, who's awesome, was like, okay, so I want to hear from Liz. So that was like the very first time I was entered into radio. And actually the very first time that I felt like I had a voice. And so, all right, fast forward. I end up leaving because I was in Delaware State University at the time, and I had school, and everything was very, very hard. So I had school, and I didn't have time to keep up the station. I didn't have time to do that. I didn't have time. So, after a couple of years go by, COVID hits, and I get a phone call from one of my good friends. She's like, Liz, I want to start a station. I was like, internet radio station? Okay, fine, cool. All right, let's do it. And she's like, I want a station that you can learn to be a DJ. But not only learn, but like gain, if you wanna learn how to do DJ work, or if you wanna learn how to do a podcast, you can learn how to do that. Um, I said, well, okay, well, what do you want to call it? She was like, why don't we call it 95 Alive? I was like, okay, all right. She said, but we need to put in 95 Alive, the International Lizard Network. I was like, okay. So there is a joke that I have to tell. So when I was in school, my best friend, her name's Ashley, which is the same friend that called me and was like, let's start a radio station. When I was in school, she started calling me Lizard. And it was kind of funny, kind of cute. And because she was like, well, you kind you kind of evolve like a lizard does. You came from being like this very, very shy person to outspoken and very energetic, and you don't hide your feelings anymore, and that's a good thing. And sometimes, and if you are familiar with um a lizard will shed their skin um when they have grown up. They will shed the skin. So that's where the International Lizard Network came in. Now, I I was I was very hesitant to put that in, okay? Because it's your radio station, Ashley. Why am I putting the International Lizard Network? Don't, it's your radio station. No, no, no. We're gonna put the International Lizard Network. Lizard Network. I was like, okay, okay, fine. We can do that. I don't I don't think we should do that, but okay. So I call up my good friend, another one of my good friends, who's still my good friend to this day. Um, Kevin. I call him up. I'm like, hey, we want to start a radio station. And he goes, he goes, do you need, he's a website developer. He goes, do you need a website? Yes. Okay. I can get you a website and I can put it right up for you. The very next day, it was up. Okay. So I said, all right, well, here we go. So we started doing a show. And then we get like 2 weeks in, and we put up the music, everything's going good. About 2 weeks in, I get a phone call. It's Ashley, and I instantly know something's wrong because her voice is kind of breaking, but I'm not quite sure what is wrong. And so I answer the phone and I say, hey, what's wrong? And she tells me, she says, Liz, there's a reason why I wanted the International Lizard Network. Okay, why? She said, Liz, have something to tell you. Are you sitting down? I'm like, I'm sitting down. I'm sitting down. I'm good. What's wrong? Are you sick? Something wrong with your family? She goes, no, 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 no. Nothing's wrong with my family. I am sick. It's okay. Well, hope you get better soon. Not thinking anything of it. Um, and then she tells me she has brain cancer. So my world stops because now I see why she had called me and said why she insistently was very insistent on calling 95 Alive the International Lizard Network because she knew she was going to die. Now, she had brain cancer, and that threw me for a loop. It did. Honestly, it was one of those things where it'll stop you. So she said, "You're gonna have to become owner of it." I said, I'm sorry. Do you know who you're talking to? You're talking to Liz, right? I can't own anything. What are you talking? I cannot own anything. I can't do it. This is not. What are you talking? Huh? Okay, Ashley. What are you doing to me? What are you doing? Please, 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 begging me to do it. So finally, I say yes. All right. Well, fast forward to a couple weeks later. I am I'm leaning I am in the kitchen and I just finished breakfast. And I walk upstairs and I check my phone and I saw it have a missed call from Ashley's brother. And he calls me and he tells me to sit down. And I do, because he was calling me on he called me on FaceTime and he could see that I was standing up. So I sit down. And that's when he tells me that she's gone. That Ashley has passed away. My world collapsed around me because that was my best friend. I had been friends with her since we were both 4 years old. She was 27. And my world stopped. And I could barely breathe. I remember screaming on the phone. I remember yelling, "No, it can't be." And I remember struggling to tell my friends. Matter of fact, my boyfriend, well, I shouldn't say my boyfriend, my fiance calls me and in fact, my fiance had to end up telling the rest of my friends for me because I just couldn't. I couldn't. So I stopped for weeks on end. I hit depression. I hit an all-time low. And it was shocking. And I had considered stopping it. I honestly had considered stopping the station. And my fiance is like, "What are you doing? Why are you stopping the station?" And I was like, "Well, just, you don't understand. It's just too much." You don't get it. I can't run this station without. I don't know anything about owning a station. Okay, I can barely type on my computer. I don't know anything about owning a station. So you expect me to own this station? How do you expect me to do this? Well, Heaven and I, we've got your back. You know, we got your back. We can do this. You can do this. No, no. I remember going on a argument, almost an argument, arguing with him on reasons why I couldn't do it. And he said something to me that was very powerful. This is what he said. He said, I said, she's not here anymore. He said, so you're just going to give up? He said, that's not the Liz I know. You don't give up. You don't. You stand and fight. You are a warrior. And you should do this. You think that it's, you're looking at it the wrong way. I said, what do you mean? Look at it like you're doing this station to keep Ashley's memory alive. And I said, well, I obviously want to keep Ashley's memory alive. I can't imagine, I can't imagine not keeping something. And I was like, well, all right, I'll do it. So that is how 95 Alive got started. That's a little bit about me and about the station.
Audio now unmuted.
I've been in the podcast business now for 4 years, and you take this seriously. I take this seriously. We all do. We're all in this together as podcasters or content creators. And I have to tell you something. And I hope you're sitting down, and I hope you're listening, because that was one of the best monologues we've ever had in this show's history, as far as completing the full story of why. And oftentimes in life, we ask ourselves, why me? Why us? Right? You answered the question of why. Absolutely, absolutely beautiful. So, on a lighter note, let's break down the station, right? So, for those who don't know, how does internet radio work? Let's start there. And then why didn't you work through 95 Alive? Talk about the programs, talk about the station. Where can people listen? How is it organized? Go through all the ingredients. Go dig as deeply as you would like to go.
Okay. So, right now, we are just on your internet. My goal is to take you guys to tune in. I just tune in requires a design. And I am totally blind, so I cannot. And our web designer is also totally blind, and so we struggle with images and design. So if you open your internet browser and you type in http://95alive.net, you'll find us. Let me see. You'll definitely find us, and we have a couple of shows. So we are just starting. So we have on Tuesday nights, we have the LJ Variety Show, Tuesdays and Fridays, which is just a show that we do, that me and my fiance, Josh, does, where we play different variety of music and we talk about different topics and stuff like that. On Wednesdays, well, from 6 to 8, or sometimes 8 to 10 on Tuesdays and Fridays, we do the LJ Variety Show. On Wednesdays, we have a good show called Radio Connection Live. That is a podcast. It's a good podcast. My good friend Jamie does a wonderful job doing that. And Jamie was actually the reason why I got into radio. So shout out to Jamie. Let's see. On Thursdays, we have right from 3 to 4, I believe, on Thursdays. I have to check that again. From 3 to 4, we have the Raylo Show, where where my good friend Raymond does his musical type stuff. His show. We're always looking for shows. We're always looking for new people. So if you would like to DJ, to if you do a podcast, come on over to 95alive.net/apply. So if you do http://95alive.net/apply, that will bring you to our application. We need to know, what do you want to call the show? What the day you want to do it, and the time, and we will get you started. My good friend Kevin will help you as far as learning how to DJ, or something that he does for me, he produces for me. So and so we also have a Team Talk server That is so Team Talk is like Discord for blind and visually impaired people. Uh, so if you put in the host address, so you download the app, you click new server, it says host address, and here's what you put in there, 95alive.net. Then you go to where it says TCP port, and you put 1347. And then you go to where it says UDP port, and you put 1347. And you go to where it says username, and you type SPACE. And then you go to where it says password, and you type SPACE. And then you click connect. And then that is where we are on Team Talk. We are working on a Discord server. So all of those people who use Discord, we will have a Discord server. We don't have one yet, as I am having some trouble with creating my Discord account. But it will be up soon. And so if you also, I am on Facebook. I do not have a Facebook group for this, but we are going to I am going to create a Facebook group for the 95 Alive. I also do not have a page for 95 Alive, but I'm also going to be creating a page for 95 Alive. We just started creating, so we have been online for at least, I think, 7 months now. And so we're a brand new station. So, but if you want to send me a message, you can send me a message at Queen Liz on Facebook, or you can send me an email at CAPTONCUDDLES 2626 at AOL.com, I do believe. Yes, AOL.com. That's CAPTCUDDLES 2626 at AOL.com. That is the email that you can use. If you would like to email us, you can also text that, and I will get that way. We also have a WhatsApp community. So if you search 95 Alive community on WhatsApp, you will find us. And I forgot to put that in the paragraph. But yes. And that is all. Do you have any more questions?
Absolutely. Well, all of that's fine. You did a magnificent job, and don't worry about that. At the after the recording, I can give you a call for a few minutes, and we can kind of tie up the loose ends. So that's not going to be an issue at all. Absolutely. We will. Well, certainly. I'm going to say it here, and I'm going to say it off air. I want to make sure that some of the next people I interview here at Aaron's Opinion are, of course, Kevin and Jamie. So they need to know that both of them are welcome here. Obviously, two separate interviews, two different episodes. But I definitely want Kevin's expertise, and I definitely want to just have Jamie here. If is Jamie a woman?
No, Jamie is a man.
Oh, that's why I asked. That name goes in both directions. That's
Oh no, I
yeah.
understand.
Yeah. So I would just like both of those people then, both those men to come here on two separate episodes, and if they would like. Um, so I really have to ask, since you're just getting started, this is a huge golden opportunity for us at Aaron's Opinion to help you, and we will. And I also want to know that, or I also want to ask. So what parts of the world are you reaching? What can you tell me about your audience and the types of people that listen to you guys?
Um, well, um, I I'm people mainly listen from the US, but I would like it to go all around the world. Um, like I said, I would love it to go all around the world, internationally. Um, and even if you um, own your own radio station, I would love to kind of um, connect and see how I can help other radio stations as well as my own. Because like my goal is to make the International Lizard Network a network of stations, you know, something that people can go. And like I said in my paragraph, I want people to have a voice, whether you DJ, do a podcast, or you just suggest music that I should play. I would love to have people from Germany everywhere, just everywhere. But I'm mostly in the US now.
Good. Well, we will definitely work on that. It's everything is a work in progress. Nothing will happen overnight, but if we can work together. But by the way, so do you have your own podcast, or will your station have its own podcast?
Um, yes, it will. I am working on that here in a I'm working on that. Kevin, who is an amazing human being, is working on trying to, build a podcast around the LJ Variety Show. just show us, me and my significant other, Josh, um, just doing what we love doing. I would love to create a podcast around that. But we shall see. My goal is to do that. I have to look more into that. Because see, I do a lot of research before I, do anything as far as creating like making a podcast and stuff like that. So I do a lot of research, and it's something that I definitely want to try doing. I just don't know the like tools to kind of do that. I know that it's something that I would love to try doing.
Well, the reason I ask is I will have the tools to be able to actually host your podcast on my profile. In other words, you and your fiance would produce your podcast, or you and Kevin would produce the podcast, and then basically give me the edited audio file, and then I would put it up for you. Obviously under your name and under the 95 Alive, label and branding and all of that. But I would be very happy to add you to my network because I'm trying to build up a podcast network as well. Absolutely.
Okay. I will definitely I would definitely get back to you on that, and we can see how. I would love to do that, and we can see how well that would go and stuff like that. I'd love to do that. I really would.
Yeah, so I'd love to help. So certainly after I talk to Kevin, and because I also have a lot of questions for Kevin as well. So after Kevin comes and he records his episode, I think it'll become a lot clearer and things like that. The other thing I can easily do for you is once you create your Facebook group, I can be the admin and I can post what you want me to post, and I can run it in a normal way to help you. So. No, no weird stuff, no ifs, buts, and coconuts. We can just have a normal Facebook group that actually gets this done and actually gets your station globalized. So, yeah.
Yes. Um, I am going to get that group started. As soon as I get off here, I'm gonna get that group started.
Wonderful, wonderful. So when you create that group, as you're creating it, you can automatically set me as one of the admins, and then that would make it
Yes.
a lot easier to do it initially from the ground than after you're already going. So yeah,
Yes.
and then I can easily help you to get into, the other thing with podcasting and radio is you need to find the right audience, and I'm more than happy to get you to the people who need to listen. So I know I've figured out over time what groups those are and who those people are around the world. So yeah.
Oh, thank you so much.
Yeah, you are so welcome. So I'm sure also, Liz, before you go, we still have a few minutes if you want. I'm sure you have a lot of questions about this Aaron Richmond guy and Aaron's opinion. So I really want you to get under my lizard skin and start asking me some questions.
So, um, yeah. So when, well, I'm pretty sure I've asked you this before, but when did you start this? Because I I had heard um a little bit of your your podcast. Um I heard it from another friend had posted it.
Well, it's who? David, or is it someone else?
Yes,
Oh, David. Oh, okay, good.
David. David had posted it, and so um I had it's funny because I had looked into it and I was like, oh, this guy seems really cool. This guy seems really nice. But I didn't. And then when you sent me a friend request, I was like, oh, that's Aaron's opinion. Okay. So when did you start this and how did it get started?
Well, it began at the height of the pandemic back in 2020.
Oh,
I was in my office then doing my teaching work. And I had a guide dog then. She passed away that year in 2020
oh,
of
I'm
old
very
age.
sorry.
Yeah, yeah. And anyway, I was going around the blindness community, Liz, and I noticed that well, I was spending an enormous amount of time listening to podcasts.
Yeah, because that's all we could do.
Yeah, and one of the issues that I had was that there were and are a lot of podcasts for blind people, but none of them share my opinion, and none of them really. I mean, and I don't necessarily mean none of them share my opinion. It's just at the time I felt, I suppose, to be more precise, that none of these podcasts really shared, my opinions about things, and none of these podcasts really wanted my opinion. And I had a real issue with that. So since I can't stop talking and educating people and enjoying it as much as I do, and I really do love creating these episodes for you, I thought, well, why don't I just go around the Facebook community of blind people and see what they're talking about? And you know what, Liz? I noticed that there were a lot of blind people who were asking questions, how to do this? Should I go to college? Should I get a guide dog? I thought, well, what would happen if I created an MP3 audio file, answered the person's question, and sent the file back to them in Messenger? So then I kept on doing that for a while, for weeks and weeks and weeks, months, basically. And then you know what? It occurred to me that by me doing this, I'm actually creating a podcast, and the people that were asking the questions were the audience. So that's how it began. And it just kind of took off from there, very slowly and very surely, to now where we have an email list, Facebook group, Facebook page, private WhatsApp group, which I'll add you to. And then, the Zoom room where people can come in when we're doing the recordings and things like that. That's how we got here.
You said that you have a Facebook group. So, you, it's Aaron's opinion on Facebook.
Aaron's Opinion Podcasting Community.
Aaron's Opinion Podcasting Community.
I'll
Okay.
add you. I'll add you.
Okay.
And it's that, yeah. And then there's also a Facebook page where you can just learn about the podcast, give it a like, write a review, and then each time we upload a new episode, the episode gets posted there. That's like the professional page for the podcast. Yeah.
Okay. And you said you also have an email list. I'd like to get on the email list as well, if that could be possible.
Of course, please join it. I tell you what, let's because that's where it gets a little bit a bit complex, but let's talk off air, and then I'll send you the address where you have to write one of those blank emails, keeping the subject blank, and then other way, you knew what I meant, keeping the message body blank and putting subscribe in the subject, and then you would get subscribed to it that way. Yeah, and that way.
Okay.
And that way you'll never miss an interview. Now the point of this group on Google Groups, the point of the email, okay, is because I want you to be in my audience. Each time I do an interview, I'm trying to get a virtual audience of people who enjoy it. So each time you see a Zoom, whether it's about you or not, it means that we want you to sit in the audience. We want you. And then at the end, we'll open your microphone and you can ask a question of the guest. And it's a really, really incredible thing, I think, for those who choose to join and things like that. And then you'll never miss an episode and you'll never miss a video and things like that. It'll all just be emailed to you.
Oh, that's great. That's great.
Yeah.
Um, that's awesome.
Thank you.
Um, I think that we should uh also I think that we should it once like I set up the once we set up the podcast, I honestly think that we should have uh we should also have an email listing. So I just need to know how to set that, because that would be very helpful for like different podcasts and stuff like.
So what you do is I would say, who set up the website for 95alive.net? Who set that up?
um Kevin.
So talk to Kevin. He'll probably tell you not to put words in his mouth before he comes here. He'll probably say, let's go with either Google Groups or Groups.io, but it's all very similar software. There's two different
Okay.
softwares, but it's all basically the same concept. Google Groups is free. It is slightly less cumbersome than Groups.io. Groups.io is obviously very famous and very, very well known, but Google Groups works just as well. What you would
Okay.
do with that, though, is when you set that up, you would put it on the station, and then people can just email into that and join that list. And then each time you post an update about an upcoming show, a new release, or just news from the station, then the whole world who's on the list knows. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah. Um um Speaking of audience, do do you have anyone in the audience now that?
We do not. It's just
Okay.
us. We did have someone who joined gently for a minute and then they backed out. So,
Okay.
mhm.
All right. Well, um, but yeah, so how, so you said that you wanted to make it a network of podcasters. Um, so are you hosting anyone else's podcast?
Not as of yet. It's actually very hard to convince someone to join a network. So that's a very tricky thing because they have to have only just started, or in your case, since you don't have any podcast at all, that would make it a lot easier. Because then I would be able to start a blank page basically from a blank slate and be able to work from there. Yeah.
Okay. Okay. All right. All right.
Yeah.
So, um, I really do think that I could also help you out as well.
Great.
Um, I could also um um talk about in various groups that I am in, because I am in a lot of them. In various groups that I am in, I can spread the word about the the word about your podcast,
Please
if
do.
you
Thank you.
will allow that.
Yes.
I can also I'm also gonna include your YouTube as well, because I do believe that you should get more listeners, and I want to help get
Me
the
too.
podcast out as well. And also, like I was saying on the phone, I'd also like to publish your podcast on 95alive.net.
Please do.
Okay.
Please do.
Um,
For that, I would ask you though, do you still need me to fill out the apply form? Would that help you with that? Or do
yes,
you,
it really would.
okay,
Um, we can talk off air.
sure.
But it really would.
Mm-hmm.
Um, because I could um like put you on a certain day at a certain time, and
Right.
then
Well, so what I'm looking for is a station who is willing to download and play the podcast whenever they want.
okay,
So, in other words, you would be just so there's a because this is oftentimes misunderstood. I would not be hosting a live show on your station. What you would be doing is simply playing Aaron's opinion from wherever and whenever you want, just by looking through the episodes and deciding which one you want to play, download and play, you know?
sure, yeah, yep,
So that's what it's about. Now, there's
yes,
several ways that that can be done, but it would involve downloading it and then deciding when you want it to be assigned on the system.
yes,
You'll find that one of the challenges for you is that each episode is obviously a slightly different amount of time. So
okay,
it's a little tricky. You'd have to decide kind of block out some time when you would want to be able to play that, and that would
okay,
be super
yeah,
super good. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
yeah, yeah, yeah. I am going to once you meet Kevin, I will have once you meet Kevin, I will have him I'll explain that to him, and we can just grab the episodes. So here's where the email list would be perfect, because for me to because I would it sends out an email when your podcast is released for that week. Am I correct?
Yes, or that day or whenever. So it's not a quite set schedule. I
Okay.
release as I go as sort of as it flows along. So this would
Okay.
involve you guys checking the list and
Oh
sort of
yeah.
being,
Oh
so
yeah.
it's not quite consistent. It's not quite a consistency. It's whenever you notice that it did, you
All
know.
right.
Yeah.
All right.
Hmm.
Well, that's great. That's great because um like I said, I that is great. I will have Kevin um grab the episodes, because I can have Kevin grab the episodes and stuff like that.
Right. Right. Absolutely. Well, that is all super good. And I could not have asked for a better episode. Any other questions that you want to ask before I'll ask you one more final question?
Um, no. Okay.
No, but okay, go ahead. You have something else to ask.
Okay. So, um, do you do you where do you see yourself going with this podcast? Like, where do you see yourself going with this podcast?
We have a slogan here at Aaron's Opinion. Help one person today, help 1 million people tomorrow. Meaning that we just have to reach one more listener. So as long as I get one download out of this, then that counts for 1 million other downloads because that person has the chance to share it with a friend. And that's really what it's about, sharing it.
I
Sharing it
love it.
with the
I
right
love
people.
it.
Yeah.
I love
So
it.
that's the answer. And hopefully it'll keep spreading around as we produce better and better things over years. It'll just keep building. It just kind of keeps building and multiplying on itself. Hmm.
I love it. I love it. That's really good. Um, so do you have one last question you said?
Sure. If you, Queen Liz, can ask me only one more question to really make me sweat to see if I'm worth my salt as a podcaster, what do you want to know about me?
I want to know, do you have any are you going to get another guide dog?
No, great question. No, not at this time. But I'm not in a position in my life where I need a guide dog at the moment, but I support guide dogs, and I love the fact that blind people are able to get successful guide dogs from reputable schools. So I'm totally in support of it. That's a great question. What a wonderful way to end it. Really good. Yeah. Mhm. All right. All right. All right, everybody. We'll click the link in the description and definitely check out 95alive.net. And we will definitely see you guys next time. I'm sure that we will see many other episodes with Kevin and Jamie very, very soon. Queen Liz, again, thank you for your courage in delivering such a beautiful monologue. And thank you for introducing the world to such a beautiful radio station. Trust me, I promise you have listeners now. So thank you so much. We'll be in touch in, I'll call you. Actually, I'll give you a call in like 5 minutes. But until then, thank you for joining us, Queen Liz. And until next time, keep podcasting and be well and help one person today, help 1 million people tomorrow. If you're still surviving on YouTube, thanks so much, everybody. Don't forget, like the video, comment below, tickle the bell notification to know when we go live next on YouTube. Remember, join the email list. Don't forget, come into the studio. We'd love to have you here in our virtual studio, in our virtual audience. We'd love to have you at home from all 4 corners of the universe and galaxy. All right, everybody. Great talk tonight. Great episode as always, and we will be back soon. So